Well, I send you the video actually, so you can go and check that and actually see what we're going to be talking about. So, welcome to the Player 3 podcast, everybody. My name's Rick. I'm your host, and I'm with my other host, Tisha.
Hi. What's up?
For those who are new to the Player 3 podcast, we are two neurodivergents. I'm dyslexic, Tisha is ADHD, and this podcast is for neurotypical, neurodivergent, leadership, everybody, because we are here to learn more together and with you. And on occasion, we have a guest that comes on as well to
We have some really good guests coming up. I love, like, for this, I guess I call it the spring semester, because I'm a former teacher. The spring semester of.
But we're in winter.
I know, but in school it's called the fall semester, the spring semester. It's like August to December and January to May, June. So it's the spring semester, and the spring semester for the Play at 3 podcast is going to be fantastic.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. So if you're not following already or you're not subscribed, please do so, so you can stay up to date with future episodes. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else, follow. If you're listening on watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, because it's free to do. It also helps the channel out, gets more awareness of what we do. And Tisha is holding up our unofficial sponsor
product placement for Dr. Pepper. You know, there was a TikTok video from a girl. I don't remember. I'm in TikTok these days, so I'm learning a lot. I'd like to research there, actually. But there is a girl that did a Dr. Pepper jingle. She made it up.
I've heard about
Did you see it?
Yes,
and
I have.
I had no idea that this was a thing. But the other day, I went to go get my regular 12-pack of Dr. Pepper at the store. Rick, there was no Dr. Pepper to be found. And I was like, why is everybody buying the Dr. Pepper? I had to go to 3 stores to find Dr. Pepper. And then I got home, and I guess my phone picked up the fact that I was like, why is all the Dr. Pepper sold out? And then I saw that her jingle, actually from TikTok, she made it up. She posted it on a video. Dr. Pepper marketing, super brilliant. They took her jingle and put it in their new commercial. And I'm just really fascinated by the marketing that's happening over on TikTok. Actually, I just think it's giving regular people this ability to be heard. And you know how I feel about that.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the amazing things with when you've got platforms like these. That, I mean, I remember when TikTok first started hitting it off, and it was renowned for
what year? What year do you remember?
Dances and all this kind of stuff.
Tell me.
Crikey, we're talking pre-pandemic times.
Do you know when I first knew about TikTok?
Go on.
It was 2017. Okay. And I was an instructional technology specialist, and I remember being at the high school, and I was doing the digital citizenship classes for all the students.
Yep.
And so anytime they tell me about a platform, I'm signing up for it. I want to know about it. And I started starting to research it in 2017, and there was a student there, and all the students at that school knew him. And they would say, Miss Poncio, so-and-so's TikTok famous. And I was like, what is that? What is TikTok famous? I don't know what that means. I had no idea. And they told me. And so I go and I literally tracked him down. I went to find his class, and he was in a math class. And I was like, hey, I just want to chat with you for a second. And so I was just asking him, like, can you tell me about TikTok? Can you explain to me how it works? Like, again, this is how I'm always flipping the script with students. I want them to be the teachers. I want to learn. And so he was showing me in the hallway, and I said, what does it mean to be TikTok famous? And he was like, well, there was this one video that I posted, and it went viral, and everybody liked it. So then they all followed me. And that was when I first knew. And it still didn't sink in until 2020. When I got on TikTok, obviously we all were like, what are you going to do while you're sitting home with the pandemic? So I was realizing the power of TikTok. But I think even now, that's been 6 years later. We're 6 years past that pandemic moment.
Yeah.
And these companies who are doing it right are finding these creative people who really I guess you could call us just regular people. We're not
Yeah.
famous. We're not out there, like, we don't have agents, but they're creating music and songs and ideas and selling things. And the bigger companies like Dr. Pepper, and I forgot, there's a couple of other ones that I've seen. They are utilizing these, what do you call them? Just regular creators on
Regular
TikTok.
creators that
Yeah.
would most likely have
Never be seen.
never be seen if they were
Mhm.
just doing like a job application or something like that. So it
Yeah,
really gives
hidden
everyone an
talents.
opportunity to showcase who
Mhm.
they are
What they
and
know.
what they can actually provide to the world.
Yeah.
And that's what I find amazing about it. And that's the thing, TikTok really
Well,
took
it
off
worked.
because of Vine, because Vine was like the
I remember
starting
Vine.
point with
There's
the
a Vine that
7-second videos,
do you
and then
have
it
a Vine
became,
video that plays rent-free in your head?
yep, when life gives
What
you
is it?
lemons. Do,
What is
do,
it?
do, do, do.
I don't know that one.
It's literally a guy sat at a table with a bowl, a cereal box, pours the cereal box into the bowl, and it's just a load of lemons. And he goes, "When life gives you lemons," and then the Thomas the Tank Engine tune plays, and his face just rotates on each
That's
note.
funny.
That is it. That's just 7 seconds.
You know, for me, it's this one video, and it's like a voiceover from another video. So it's an older video, and I think they're having dance practice or cheer practice or something. And you hear the coach say, "Patricia, get it together, Patricia." and I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Like, even today, whenever I do something that, like, I've dropped something, or I've dropped, 3 things consecutively, I will in my head tell myself, "Patricia, get it together, Patricia." Yeah, I know. But you know what's
There's a few of those that just
yeah.
make
The
it.
avocado, there was an avocado. What is it? It's an avocado. Thanks. I love those, but do you know what it is, really? I remember this when the iPhones came out. It puts everybody. The minute you have an iPhone, you hand a student, a kid, anybody an iPhone, they automatically become a creator. They're creating. A lot of times they're taking videos and pictures and they're doing things on their phones. They're not actually pushing it out into the world. But TikTok has a different algorithm. I know there's a new agreement. We could talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. It's too
No, we're not
sad and
talking about
boring.
that today.
But what I want to say is that it is interest. It's interest media. It's not social media. It's very interesting how it's shifting. And I really, really like it. I got on TikTok and didn't realize I was going to find my people, and very quickly found my people.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing, that I feel like the education community, and I think a lot of people, especially you, Tish, will vouch for this, that Twitter was the space where educators
Gathered.
were in, where
Yeah.
they were gathered. It was a great place. And then obviously it's changed hands and people have migrated to other platforms. And we've
Yeah.
kind of been wondering where that actually is. And it feels like TikTok has become the place, because obviously
There are a
you
lot of
have
people
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
Facebook is different.
LinkedIn, Blue Sky.
You know what? I've tested it. The content that I'm recording on TikTok and putting out there, I've actually posted the text. So the idea, whatever I've got my video, I posted the text on Facebook and it just does not hit.
Yeah, it does not resonate for people.
Nobody's interested in it. Nobody's really liking it. It's so fascinating to me. And
Isn't
I think
it
it's
because
just
you're
well,
not really
it's because
getting
it's your
new engagement?
right. It's
New
like your
people.
friends. I feel like it's a siloed place. Facebook is
It's
a
a click.
siloed click for me. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't really love it. Instagram, it takes too long for the information to get where it's going to go. Like you said, Twitter is essentially dead. There's still some stuff out there. We still post. I do see some good content out there. I hate, you rarely will ever hear me say that I hate anything. I don't even think I've ever told you this, but I hate, and I'm using it in all caps, I hate Threads.
Wow. Okay, that's a strong statement, because there are a few people on
No,
Threads.
I don't like it. Every time I go there, I feel like it breeds toxicity and negativity. Every post. And I don't know.
I think that's also stems. I feel like there is quite a bit of toxicity within X, and this has been my experience. So I'm only going from my
Yeah, we're both
experience. I want to
just
make that
speaking from our
clear.
own experiences. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that is the case. It's just my experience
Yeah.
and Tisha's experience. I feel like there was quite a bit of toxicity on Instagram, and there was problems with Instagram's algorithm where it was providing very inappropriate content to numerous people, and some people that should not be seeing that type of content. And because Threads is associated to Instagram, the two of them are owned by Facebook or Meta. It's all within that ecosystem.
I don't get
area.
negativity on Instagram as
I did.
every time I go
I did
into
on
Threads.
Discovery.
It's so interesting though.
Just not. It wasn't healthy.
It's not, but it's social media is always going to be fascinating to me. I will go all the way back to AOL. I'll go all the way back to like, what is it, Zanga? And like we could go, I could go real far back, MySpace, all of that. It fascinates me because people fascinate me. I love social media and I love people. Genuinely, I love people. That is a neurodivergent thing. Did you know that neurodivergents love people? What I've learned in my research, Rick, is that neurotypicals don't seem to love people at all. Like I love people. I think they do. But there is something about a neurodivergent, like one of my videos is like, when I talk to you, like I'm going to be so excited. And I remember teachers telling me, Tisha, we love that you're our digital coach because you lock in. They didn't use those words, but they were like, you lock into us. When we're having a conversation with you, you are so invested in what we're saying and helping us. And I just attribute that to my neurodivergence. I love hearing their stories. I want to help them. I want to empower them. I just think that social media gives me this ability to learn people. And also what I think is interesting is that whether someone is posting or not, they're telling a story. They are telling a story. They may not be recording a video, but with every like, I know where they stand on every issue. With every unlike, I know where they stand on the issue. Some of them get real courageous in the comments, so you will know. But I think there are some people silently just hanging out there, not wanting to say too much, not wanting to rock the boat. But I think that's what I love about it, because I can already kind of read people really well. Which I think even you are surprised at sometimes, because I can read a situation. We talked about that, like pattern recognition, right?
Yeah, pattern recognition is a huge area when it comes to neurodivergency, because one, it can be seen as a superpower, which I've talked about on my TikTok a number of times, and I do see it as a superpower because we are constantly looking. Yeah, we're looking for. Or not really looking as such, it just becomes like second nature, really. Yeah. It's a muscle memory.
It's like when you say it's like a sixth sense, sort of.
Yeah, I would, because we're constantly seeing things appearing, and we're able to piece things together. It's like we're putting together a jigsaw as we're going through our day.
It's like if somebody says something to me that is opposite of the pattern that I've been witnessing, I'm like, I am disregarding what you're saying right now because I know what the pattern is.
Yep. But as you just said, it's what was the word you said? We said it was a superpower, but
a curse. It's a curse.
A curse. And I actually mentioned in one of the videos that nobody really talks about the burden of pattern recognition.
It is.
Because the problem is, when most people, they think about pattern recognition, you're just seeing a couple of little things throughout your day, and you're like, oh, I've done this before. I know where it most likely is going to end up being. The problem is, as a neurodivergent, you are looking for, I don't really want to say looking for, because we're not. It just appears. It's like
it's
being
revealed.
handed on a plate.
It's revealed to us.
Yes, that's a better way of putting it. It's revealed to us. And it's always revealing to us, because when we're sat in a meeting or in a classroom, or even sat on public transport, sat in a coffee shop, we are essentially analyzing not just seeing
The
where things
the
go, but
ener
people's
we're
tone,
analyzing their
patterns,
tones, their patterns,
but
their energy, what's the
yeah,
energy of the room,
behaviors,
where are people standing, who are they standing
yeah,
with? Yep.
exactly, every single bit. And when we've seen something previously, we can see things that are not exact, but similar to it,
Yeah.
and can understand how that starts to kind of play out, which is why, Tish, you're very good at recognizing situations,
Well,
reading people so easily because of that
here's
pattern
I wanna talk
recognition that
about
you've
that.
experienced before. And as well, I just want to add one last thing. I think because you've been in the classroom for over 20 years, you've been able to experience so many people
Mhm.
on a more personal level
Mhm.
than the likes of myself, where if I work at a company for 10 years, I'm only seeing the people that walk through
Yeah.
the door. So I could work with the same people for 6 years
Yeah.
and never evolve. Whereas for you,
Yeah.
you're having a complete new set of
I mean,
students
thousands
every
of students,
single year.
thousands of parents, thou
Yeah.
different teachers. I wanna go back to, oh, what is it you said? See, this is a neurodivergent thing if I don't
We
talk
just
about this is why
forget
we
it.
interrupt, because we forgot. Um, you were talking about it being a curse, and we are talking about the patterns. Oh, goodness. I think it's gone now what I was gonna say, but it was around that, how I know what I was gonna say now. Thank you for giving me a moment. See, it'll come
You're
back.
very welcome.
I think it isn't just so a lot of us with neurodivergence, ADHD, all of that, it's there's also at play a lot of times PTSD, chronic PTSD.
Yeah.
And so whatever we experienced, and this could really just be any neurodivergent, you're going into the neurotypical world at whatever age you are. 8, 5, 3, that world was not made for a neurotypical brain. So we are picking up on that very early on.
Neurodivergent brain.
Yes, neurodivergent brain.
Yeah,
Sorry. Did
that's
I
okay.
say neurotypical?
Neurotypical. Yeah, yeah. I just want to
Yeah.
make that clear.
No,
It's a neurodivergent brain going
the
into a
neurodivergent
neurotypical world.
brain is not built to be in that neurotypical world. And we pick up on that so quickly, so early on. And so many of us have to learn survival skills, which sounds overdramatic, but it
Yes.
really is, because as a 5-year-old, when I'm going into a regular classroom, that is not built for me. Those big lights are on and they are horrible. They are painful to me, and I don't think people have even thought about the sensory aspects. So
No.
I'm just talking sensory right now, but then you start talking the social aspects, and you start talking about processes. We've spoken about that before.
Hmm.
It's like, we were not built for that. So what we do is we are like little turtles in shells, and our little shell is protecting us, the masking.
Yeah.
I know it's another analogy, but it's true. It's a little turtle shell around us, and it's protection. And we develop over the years of doing that so often, we develop this sixth sense of reading the energy, reading the room, reading the patterns, watching who's talking to who's actually not talking to someone, right? Like,
Hmm.
I can spot that real quick. I can spot contention between people. It's very weird, and it is a curse because it is exhausting. It's
Yes.
exhausting to do that,
That.
and we aren't act it's not an on-off switch. It's just
Hmm.
always on.
We can't, that's the biggest thing. We cannot switch it off, and
Mm-mm.
we can't just ignore it or any it like we said before, it's like a sixth sense, it's muscle memory. These
Yeah.
things happen, and the problem is we see these things happen in a room. So let's take a situation. We're in a meeting
Hmm.
and it's being discussed, this certain activity or process or event or whatever. We will end up looking at what's being discussed, how things are being discussed, and we can recognize, oh, this has happened before. I
Yeah.
know what will end up happening. And the problem we'll have, if we end up speaking out,
Mm.
people will be immediately going in with, well, where's your proof for that?
Mhm.
What evidence do you have?
Mhm.
And for us, all we have is intuition, our
Mhm.
experiences. There is no actual proof for us to say that this will actually occur. So
Mhm.
we can end up easily getting like kind of pushed aside or ignored because of these and
Dismissed.
dismissed on
Dismissed
what
is
what what we're thinking.
Mhm.
So what ends up happening is we end up having to kind of sit there quietly, waiting for everybody to kind of catch up, which also leads to us feeling lonely because we're in a completely separate space to everybody else. And then once it comes to the realization, if it comes to it during that meeting, we can then come and step in and say X, Y, and Z based on what we've experienced before, joining the patterns. But as well, there's the issue when it doesn't materialize and you're communicating to people. And I've had this happen to me.
Me too.
Where,
for
years, where you are communicating, if we go down this route, this will end up happening. And people do not believe you. They do not believe
and they
you.
don't listen, and they dismiss. And then years later, I'm going to tag on to this, because years later, when it then is revealed that what we were saying is accurate.
Yep.
How often do those people come back to you and give you credit for that thought?
Never. They literally will either turn around and say, "Oh, we'd never realized this could happen," or "didn't see this coming." The typical kind of responses that you get for missing an area when you've been literally screaming from the rooftops to every single person about it that this is going to happen, but it gets pushed aside. And then the funny part is, they end up doing the things that you said we should do in the first place.
Yes.
And you're just like, if you'd listened to me in the first place, and I'll go into this a bit further after, but if you'd listened to me sooner, we could have saved ourselves years of pain and
money.
Now we're in a situation where it's 10 times harder to get out of. Now, this is where it gets tricky. The reason being is because the language we communicated was being misunderstood, misinterpreted. And that, for us, to accommodate for them, we end up having to adapt our way of communication. We have to take a step back to communicate what we're trying to say in a more cohesive structure.
Well, that's us
that they
accommodating
understand.
for everyone around us, and that is so exhausting.
It is
so exhausting.
It's so exhausting. This is why, like Tisha mentioned the spoon theory, I'm going to bring it up. This idea of I have so many spoons and each thing that I'm doing is taking away a spoon. And once I've run out of spoons, I'm done. And that can be halfway through the day. That is what happens to us when we're having to accommodate
for the neurotypicals.
For neurotypicals in the way that they think, to ensure that they're understanding where we're coming from. But it's not about us having to accommodate for them. We need to learn how to understand. And it's not just a language thing. We need to learn how to understand different forms of intelligence.
And by we, are you meaning everyone or the
everyone?
Everyone.
Because the way that me and Tish talk, I'm just going to repeat what I just said. It is not about learning the language. It's about learning the different forms of intelligence. So the way that me and Tish work, we look at things differently sometimes, and there can be times where we're having a conversation.
It'll be like a word.
She's going, I think she's going one way. A single
word for us means something. Remember, we've talked about, you'll ask me, what did you do yesterday? And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I did nothing. And for me, I am using the word nothing and anything as I didn't do anything productive. I didn't do anything to write home about. I didn't do anything that was worthy of me expressing any energy on it. But for you, that word is something different.
Exactly. It's where I want to know about what did she get up to. So just because she's thinking productive, I'm just thinking, if you just did something for yourself, which I look at as productive, that something for yourself can be playing video games, reading a book, going for a walk, going to the gym. You're doing something that, in my eyes, is productive for yourself. It doesn't have to be productive for
high priority, right? It's high priority, but I think the reason I don't talk about it is because it is so woven into everything I do. I'm doing something that is empowering me every second. That's just how my brain works. So I'm like, when you say that, I feel like I need to perform. So this is a good example. We have two different meanings of a single word. aside
Yeah.
from the regular definition of the word. But for me, being neurodivergent, being an ADHD woman, not being diagnosed until later in life, feeling like I was
Mm-hmm.
missed by everyone, I feel like that question means I need to show up and perform. And by that,
Yes.
I mean, what did I do? I went to Disneyland. I chopped 4 trees down. I made firewood. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm
Yeah.
like, but because we have the business relationship, we built this like communication, like safe space. It's like I can say to you, I did nothing,
I
and
did not. Yeah.
there is no retaliation on
Mm-mm.
that. But think about it in a work environment. If you're an employee, if you're running a business, if you like, there are people, when they ask you something, they are expecting you to perform, and they're not saying it to you. It is an unspoken, silent rule of the neurotypical world that when they ask you a specific question, you are meant to show up and perform, even if it means going against the way your brain automatically works.
Yes.
That is what takes up 2 spoons a day.
For you.
For me, yes.
For you. Every single
I
time.
don't know about you.
I mean, I would say that it's taken up a lot of spoons over the years, but over time I've learned how to be allowing it to take up less spoons, but at the same
Well, what are
time
your
now
tips for
learning
the
how
people
to stop
listening?
it. I would say that the biggest things comes down to, one, accommodating for oneself, and also by repeating the same process, I've learned how to make it more efficient. So requiring less effort than what it would
Let's
normally do.
role play this. Let's role play for our audience and our listeners, because you're saying it to me and my brain's not attaching to it. So I'm going to need an analogy, a role play. I'm going to need some example. So let's do
Okay,
that.
so let's take a situation. So as someone who is, I got diagnosed with dyslexia at 8 years old, so I've been fortunate
You've been
to
in
have
the
an
game.
early diagnosis. And for me, it meant that I started learning about it and understanding it much sooner than what Tisha did for herself. Now, what I'm saying is, she has had years of experience of being aware of neurodivergency and accommodating for those around her with it, but only now adapting those experiences and advice into her own life.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to put it only into my own life and not go into understanding it with other people until really now. So essentially, we're kind of accommodating for each other in that manner.
Yeah.
Because I was learning how to accommodate my own thought processes, my own way of doing certain things, understanding environments at a very younger age, it meant that over time of repeatedly trying new things, improving on what actually worked, I have been able to make certain things a lot more effective without requiring as much energy as it used to. Now then, just because I'm doing that doesn't mean I've got superpowers of being able to do all these amazing things. It just means I've been able to adapt
Well, you've had
one
more
thing that was
practice. You've had
taking
years.
I've had years of
And
practice.
I've had like 2. I'm a baby.
Yes.
What did I say one
You're a baby
episode? I'm a baby
neurodivergent.
neurodivergent.
Yeah, you're a baby neurodivergent in the grand scheme of it, and I'm a grown adult.
You're in your 80s.
Thanks. But it really does show that because I've been able to do that, I've been able to accommodate. But it has also meant, because my focus has been on those things, I've fallen short in other areas. Because I'm having to do something that a neurotypical person doesn't have to worry about, really.
Yeah.
So my life has been about adapting and
Can we
learning
role play
and
that though?
understanding.
Because I want our
What do you
audience.
want to?
You said, you've learned strategies to make that easier. It's not going to take you 2 spoons like it's going to take me 2 spoons. So how?
Yes.
How are you doing that? Let's do an example.
Okay, so let's take into consideration, let me think, because you're really putting me on the spot here, Tish, which we know you love to do.
If you're going to tell them about a strategy, you got to be specific.
Yeah, I do. let's think about this. Okay, you know what? Let's use the podcast as a good example.
Perfect.
So, the podcast Tisha explained during one of her TikToks as well. Was it about the TikTok or was it about was it in the episode? It was in the episode. It was in the episode.
What was it?
Let me start again. This is my neurodivergent brain jumping about. So a couple of episodes back, Tisha talked about the spoon theory, which is what we're discussing right now. And she mentioned that the going and doing this podcast only requires 1 spoon.
Oh, yeah.
Because she enjoys
sometimes half a spoon.
Half a spoon because it doesn't require as much effort. Now, when we first started doing this podcast, I would say the whole podcast experience takes 2 spoons from me. Reason being, yes, I'm doing the recording with Tish, but on top of that, I'm doing the editing of the video, I'm sorting out the social posts, and that required an extra spoon. The recording used to take up a spoon because it was you know me,
or 2 spoons
I was not
because
great
of the anxiety, right?
because
Like, I mean,
getting used to talking. It's not something that I am as fluent or as experienced as Tish is. And doing all the editing as well on top of it and managing all that takes up more spoons in my day or through my week. So what I've done as I've progressed, as I've been doing the same thing, and the great thing is, this is a simple example, it is a repeatable process. So I'm looking at it from a pattern recognition system. I know exactly what I need to do, when I need to do it, how long it's going to take. And that's the one thing we talked about this in last week's episode, that we go, if you give us, we said about having a shower or getting ready, we have steps we need to do. I do the same thing when it comes to the podcast.
But if one little piece
recording,
is it's like a wrench in the process and
throws everything off.
Yeah.
But because I'm repeating that process over and over, I can start to look at where the problems are, where the successes are.
I understand what you're saying now. Like, again, it goes back to your experience, your level of experience. You've known about being neurodivergent for so long. You have built up more experiences in your little experience backpack.
Exactly.
And now, because you built up all those experiences, you have something to refer back to. You have a pattern. It's like you can look in your backpack and go, okay, well, I did that here. For me, my backpack has like 10 experiences.
Bottle of water and a pack.
Yeah, I'm real low. I'm real low on my experience references. And I think that's why it's so difficult, because I'm still learning that. And you know what is interesting? And as we were talking, I just realized, as a neurodivergent, it can be lonely because you think it's only you. My video about the big light being on opened up something for me, because I went, how many people who are neurodivergent, dyslexic, ADHD, odd ADHD, I'm not saying that right, but anyway, how many of them are feeling alone and siloed because the people around them are making them feel like something is wrong with them?
Yeah. Because they're the minority.
How great would it be? And I know there are platforms and stuff out there, but how great would it be for people to, like you and I have done? It's like the person who's been neurodivergent for this amount of time, being able to mentor the baby neurodivergents to remind them and be like a checkpoint. Like, here's this scenario, and I'm exhausted in this process, in this conversation, in this relationship, and whatever. I don't know how to handle it. Being able to talk to each other. And I think that is what is so great about social media. It's bringing people together to be able to discuss things and relate to each other in a way that never would have happened before. I was not going to be in my classroom. I would have never told a teacher or another student, those lights give me a headache and I hate them, because that would have put a target on me. I'm not going to say a single thing. You know what? I'm just going to be tortured my whole life with all of the things that are bothering me, which is essentially what I've done. And I think at this point, there are people who've known me and they're like, you're so different, Tisha. Well, no, you know what? I'm just not masking anymore. I'm not different.
You've taken the mask off now. You're showing your true self
I'm not gonna
to the rest of the world.
Be afraid to make other people uncomfortable and stay in my discomfort.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that's you were saying about how it can feel very alone, but because of
Mhm.
the videos, the content that we've been creating on TikTok, um, we have really opened the door to see how many people
Yeah.
in the world, and we're only scratching
Scratching
the
the surface,
surface
yeah.
really with it,
Yeah.
and seeing the people that are coming forward and explaining. And we saw this at ISTE,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just from a neurodivergent, but
Oh,
we were
yeah.
talking about the reflection stuff,
Yeah.
and we were saying like how many people actually were taught how to give feedback. And
One.
a young lady came over to us afterwards and said that she felt like she was the only one and
The
everybody else had
only
all this
one.
experience and stuff, but we don't communicate those things, and we should do more of it. But one
We
thing is
should.
interesting. There is a lot more communication now about neurodivergency, ADHD,
Yeah.
dyslexia on
People are
social
getting
media. They're
people are listen,
communicating it more,
the
which is
community of
fantastic to see.
neurodivergence is tired. They are
Hmm.
tired of making everybody else around them comfortable and staying uncomfortable. They're tired of
Yes,
accommodating for everybody else and not accommodating for themselves. I think that's what it is. And as you learn and find more people in that community, it empowers you. The same thing happens in the ed tech community. The same thing can happen in any other community. And I think for us, this podcast is one of those ways that we wanted to give people platform to talk about their stories, to talk about where they
exactly.
come from, to talk about their lessons. It could be about teaching, it could be about student leadership, but ultimately we want to give them that platform. I think TikTok does the same thing. I think TikTok does a really great job of that, actually, better than the other platforms, because if you try to find somebody on Facebook that is in that same group, it's almost impossible. I've not been able to do it on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, but I did on TikTok, and so many people
That's
are out there.
amazing.
Once you start finding them, the videos just start popping up for
They
you
start
automatically.
flowing. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something I've started experiencing since I mean, I've from when we were recording this video, I've been only posting on TikTok about neurodivergency, dyslexia specifically,
Yeah.
for just over a week now.
You have.
Um,
Well, how many times a
which
day are you posting? Just once or
daily,
twice? So just once a day,
once a
which
day.
was Brian's recommendation.
Yes.
I've been posting twice a day.
Hmm.
I started off once a day, but I've been posting in the morning and in the evening. Um, I started November. I think it's been
You've been
specifically
over a
two
month.
months. 2 months.
Yeah.
I've been doing 2 months, and I'm looking at my metrics right now, which are fascinating. I have had 15,000 likes on posts, 2,000 shares. That's for just specifically this week, the 2,000 shares. And specifically this week, the last 7 days, 243,000 video views. That's weird to me to think that 243,000 people are watching my videos.
And just
My
to
metrics have
give,
never been that.
they've never been that
Ever on
big,
any other
is what you're
platform.
saying,
Yeah, yeah.
on any other platform.
Mhm.
And obviously, since Tish is giving her outstanding views and has been doing it for a lot longer than I have, my last 7 days have been these are going to absolutely smash his Tish's out of the water. How many likes did you say? Was it
For the
15,000?
last week, I have, on my profile, I have a total of 15,000 likes.
Oh, on your
Yes.
profile, you have a total of
For
15,000.
this week, I have 9,000.
9,000. Okay. Well, I'll just give the total profile likes.
Okay.
Yours was 15,000. Mine is
Yeah.
an amazing 374. Um, so yeah, no, Tish has had some amazing content. I'm not gonna like brag anymore
But it
for it
isn't
because she's doing it on her
intentional.
own.
That's the
It
thing. That's
isn't.
what I want to say.
It's
People will say to me, well, I want to do that, but I'm tired. I want to do that. It's too much work. You know what? I thought that too. But if you will just hit record on the thought you're having in the moment, those are the videos that are getting me the most views. It's not the ones where I'm overthinking it and thinking, oh, let me script it out. No, because Brian told us, don't do that. What's on your mind? Post it. What's on your mind?
yeah.
Post it. What's on your mind? Post it. The videos I have done that with, have gotten the most views. Now, granted, one of them is a Texas weather video, and people lost their minds on that, and that's fine. That seems to happen to me anytime I post a weather-related video, but the majority of my videos are Gen X related and neurodivergent related.
Yeah.
And by
And
putting those hashtags, I only use 4, you will quickly find your community of people.
yeah,
Quickly.
you will. And that's the thing as well. There's an article that I read in the UK where and you can take this in 2 different ways. The amount of people taking ADHD medicine has skyrocketed in the UK.
Mhm.
And people are saying, oh, this is a major concern. More people are taking medication, all this kind of stuff. And I actually look at it and say, there may be people that are taking that don't really need it. But the reason why there's an increase is because there's awareness. It's not
It's because
because of
there's
just
more knowledge. Think about the group of
exactly.
people in the Gen X generation alone.
Yeah, who have never been
All
diagnosed,
all
all
of the
missed.
women that I have met have been Gen X, and it is specifically because the only research that was done was on males.
Yeah,
And their neurodivergence, ADHD, is going to outwardly show you. But for women, it is an inward. It's all
yes,
inward. It's turned inward towards ourselves. And so, yeah, it's hard to spot that. And thankfully, there's been research and there's been assessments and there's been discussions and there's been questions. And I think for anything, and I've taken the medication. Like, I'm happy to talk about that. I'm not even afraid
yeah,
to tell you. Took the medication. It will work for a little bit. I have all kinds of thoughts on that because I'm part of multiple ADHD groups and kind of watch the conversations on medication specifically. In the US, as you know, nothing in the medical field is easy.
yep,
So there was low stock. Sometimes these pharmacies are out of stock. This is actually what led me to stop taking my medicine. I could not find my medicine because my insurance company partners with certain pharmacies, and those certain pharmacies either were out of the medication, or they didn't have it in stock, or they were waiting on it. And then you start adding a manufacturer to that medicine. The
yeah.
manufacturers being different are going to affect our bodies differently. I'm telling you, it is too much of a puzzle, which is so sad because out of everybody in the world, why would a neurodivergent have to do so much effort? We're gonna forget to take our
We're already,
medicine.
yeah,
You want me to call every pharmacy in my area? Well, that's already difficult. And you want
that's
me to
already 3
research
spoons.
yes. And you want me to research which manufacturer is producing the medicine at said pharmacy so that I can see why my body's reacting. It is too much. So I made the
Exactly.
decision to stop.
Yeah,
And I want to say, Rick, that I think I'm more fun this way.
yeah. I would 100% agree with you on that. And just going back to it, the thing is, we're building more awareness of people
Yes.
with neurodivergency. I think that there is definitely, I've seen comments that, oh, everybody's just jumping on the neurodivergency bandwagon and all this kind of stuff. I've got
You know what?
ADHD, I'm
People
autistic.
are full
But
of
some people will, guaranteed, some people will jump on it because they
don't
see it
know.
as a trend, and they're like, oh, I'm
It's
ADHD, and it's I've had
it's like the
conversation with
weather.
people.
It's
Yeah,
like the
it
weather.
is.
They think they know like, I'm never gonna talk about the British weather. I haven't lived there, and
Hmm.
I don't know what I'm talking about. And some
Yeah.
people just need to have an ego check. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yes.
They should just speak from their
I've
own lived experiences.
I've had it so many times where I've explained, oh, I've got dyslexia,
Oh, my
and
uncle
I've
has that. I know exactly
yeah,
what that
or
is.
or you know what? I think I've got dyslexia,
Oh my goodness.
and it's the same. Like I've said to people, like, you know what? I've got dyslexia. I've probably got some ADHD in there. I
You
mean,
do?
Tisha
Yes.
says that I
Yes.
do. I'm undiagnosed in that area, so I'm
There's
not going to take that as I do have ADHD.
yeah.
I'm not tested. I'm not going to accept it, but I do have dyslexia. And the amount of people that turn around to me and just go, you know, I think I've got dyslexia. I struggle. I'm a little bit slow at reading, and I'm just like,
It's a
Dyslexia.
misconception. Yeah,
Dyslexia is one of
huge.
those that everybody jumps on as like, oh, you're dyslexic, so you must be slow at reading and slow at writing. That's all dyslexia is.
Infuriating
There is
assumptions for me.
so much more to dyslexia. Same with ADHD. People think that, oh, you just can't pay attention to
You can't pay
one
attention. You
thing.
can't sit still. You're really lazy. You don't know how to get things done. You don't want to get me on my soapbox, but
I'm not going to try and do
these are infuriating assumptions.
Yes.
And I would tell anybody who is anybody, I don't care who you are or what the topic is, like, check your ego at the door for any of your assumptions, do your research, and find somebody in your life who has that or has experienced that so that you can get authentic.
Sit with them and talk with them to understand. And the thing is,
people
you
don't
may
listen
find
and
it
talk
difficult
these days.
because, as well, at the same time, when we're trying to explain what these things are, because we jump around, they're struggling to understand, which is why I say right at the beginning, you need to learn how to understand different forms of intelligence.
Do you know what it is also? I just realized it when you're like, I'm dyslexic, people are like, I think I might be. Or I always, like, honestly, I'm not kidding. And this is just part of human experience, okay? What I'm about to tell you. When Jace was going through chemo for leukemia.
Yep.
Anytime I talk about that, I will encounter someone saying, oh, well, my cousin, 15 points removed, experienced that. And so I absolutely understand what you're talking about. I know exactly what you went through as a caregiver. And I'm like, what I think it is, Rick, what I think you're hitting on without us even knowing it is this level of the neurodivergence in the world can call BS quicker than anybody else.
Yes.
And when somebody says to us, well, I think I might have it, and you were like, that is a spoon I am not giving you. I'm not giving you my spoon today, and I'm walking away.
Do you know what my response is?
What?
I've decided from now on, if someone says that, I'll just turn around and say, okay, well, how about you go get tested? If you think if you think you have ADHD or dyslexia, go get yourself tested, and then we can talk.
But
if you're unwilling to get tested,
okay, but this is what I'm saying. People who genuinely believe that about themselves do not need someone to say that, because you said to me, I said jokingly, Rick, I think I have ADHD. And you were like, yeah, did you not know that? The minute you told me, do you remember what I did? The minute you told me, I left the room, the office, and I went and found our colleague, Ed.
Okay,
do you remember?
If we actually want the full story, I think the first thing you did was cry.
Okay, I cried, yes.
And that made me very uncomfortable.
But it was because I felt seen for the first time, and I went, oh my God. So I went and talked to Ed, who we had talked about ADHD before. He was telling me, because I was a teacher, and I went to him and I said, do you have any assessments? Like, I didn't even ask anybody else. I knew exactly who to go to. And I was like, can you print those off for me? Went to the hotel, filled out the forms, and went, oh my God, I think Rick is like, this is for real. The minute I landed back home from Manchester to Dallas, do you remember what I did? I scheduled an appointment, went to the counselor, asked for an assessment, explained all of the things I have gone through, explained my work, explained the situation with you, and got the test. I didn't ask anybody for permission, and I didn't need anybody to validate that. So I call BS on that too, because if you even remotely think that, usually we're empowered enough to go find someone if it's really something we believe. We don't need to be. So anybody who's saying, I think I might have ADHD, I was doing that jokingly. And the funny thing is, all my former students now are like, yeah, Miss Foncia, we all knew that. Like, everybody around me knew it. And so I don't know. I guess I want to call out the BS, because I just have that meter, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to walk away from this conversation now.
Yeah. I'm just kind of done with the, I think I've got that as well. It's like, I
think all neurodivergence can see through it.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I don't want to say, "Oh, you know what? I think I've got ADHD," or I think I've got ADHD undiagnosed," but I'm not going out my way to do it, to go and get diagnosed, because I don't see it being
Well, for
that
you,
impactful for me.
right,
But
exactly.
my dyslexia explains everything that I need to.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of things that the thing is, what we see as maybe ADHD is probably just related to my
There's so much
dyslexia.
overlap, Rick. There's so
There
much
is so
overlap
much
in the
overlap.
neurodivergent community.
And
And that's what we've said. Just because we're neurodivergent, just because you're neurodivergent and you meet another neurodivergent, does not mean you're going to get along.
no,
That is not what that means. Your
no.
neurodivergent pathways have to align.
Yeah, you can't just stick every single neurodivergent person
Say
into
you're
a
going to get
box and say,
along. No,
yeah, you're all best friends now.
no.
It does not happen. It does not happen. And the thing is, that's because we've heard it so many times. Neurodivergent isn't just like binary, you either have it or you don't. It's a spectrum,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
why, like, my dyslexia isn't as severe as other people with dyslexia. I've seen some really, like,
Yeah.
serious cases of dyslexia where they're having to wear different colored glasses that help them
Yes.
read, and they may need
Yes.
different. There's so
Yes.
much that goes into it,
Well, you know
and
what's interesting, and
it's
I love this. I
fascinating,
love that we're
really.
talking about it, because since we've started talking about this outwardly, since we've stopped masking, since we've just been really authentic and vulnerable about our own experiences,
Mm-hmm.
I have learned that more people that I've known in my life as being neurodivergent, that never would have come to light if we had not started talking about it. And it
Yeah.
allows me to approach them with such empathy now, because I completely understand why they don't talk about it. I understand why they would be hesitant to, but it also opens up a door then for us to connect. And even if our pathways aren't matching on the neurodivergent level, I can respect that they are in a different place on the spectrum. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just really interesting, and we've had people reach out to us behind the scenes a lot who've seen our videos and our podcast, and really just started speaking about it. So I think that hopefully we're part of the positive movement of the discussion.
Yeah. That's what we want. We just want to build more awareness and understanding, and show that the people who have felt alone for so long, we're here to support and do
Yeah.
what we can to assist in that, and it's powerful. And the thing is, there's so many educators that are trying to make accessibility a priority in their learning environments within
Yeah.
the classroom for all students, where it's all inclusive, to their best of abilities, with all the other limitations that they have playing on it. And
Do you
I
know one
just
of the
admire all the educators that are
Do you
doing
know
that.
one of the things I've seen lately? Yeah, I have to agree with that. The sentiment of all educators doing that. There is I was watching something, and it was a role play of a teacher in a classroom with an ADHD student who was acting out, right? It could have been
Mm-hmm.
the lights, it could have been the temperature, it could have been the shirt they were wearing, it could have been a multitude of things, but they were
Yeah.
acting out for whatever reason, and they got sent to alternative school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then in that same classroom, a neurotypical student is having the same sort of struggle, but they get treated differently. They got treated differently. And it was like, oh, let me find you a safe place to sit. Here's a quiet little, here, sit on this little mat or whatever. And I just thought, if we would stop approaching it as different treatment, if you had just done a slight 1% shift for that
Yeah.
ADHD student, they wouldn't be in alternative school. And I think it's just
Exactly.
interesting. We have to remember that. And there are teachers who have ADHD, probably more than likely,
Oh,
but not
yeah, more than
everybody
likely.
does. But I just think finding empathy, I think we forget about.
It's
Listen, I
yes.
know empathy is a hot topic these days, because people are like, if you're empathetic, then you're this. Well, also BS. I guess this is my BS episode, because I'm like, that's also, listen, I'd rather have empathy over hate any day of the week.
Yes,
So just be more
absolutely.
empathetic.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. Neurodivergency, why there's quite a bit of pushback as well, is it's a label that got slapped on, and people look at there's a negative connotation to it, and it basically has been seen as this, oh well, this means that this person's going to be difficult. Is the association. That's my interpretation of it. That's how I've kind of seen it, how I've seen how people react when they find out that I'm
Which is why
dyslexic.
we're all quiet. That's why we stay quiet, because we get labeled being difficult for being curious or for asking questions.
But all it needs to be is Aileen said a really, really good quote in hers, which was, when a student answers a question and it's not really the answer that she was looking for, she doesn't just go, well, no, that's not what I'm looking for. It's, how did you come to that?
Yeah.
And that gives them the strength and the confidence to speak their mind more.
That's an extended arm.
It is.
You are extending an arm and a hand to that person, that student, that teacher, that colleague, that coworker. You are extending an arm by saying, how did you come to that conclusion? Because now you're opening up the conversation.
Yeah, you're not shutting them down from that moment. Because if you do, that's how they're going to feel for everything that they do.
They're going to be shut down. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's, whenever you've got someone that's being, I don't want to say difficult, but showing emotions or attitudes or tones or energy in a form that you're not familiar with, you need to understand what's going on. Because if you do that, if you do that a number of times, you're going to start to understand how to actually accommodate for more of them. You have to go through that hard part to then be able to get it easy, which that's the problem that
people don't have patience and don't want to take the time, I think.
Yeah, it's that analogy that if you do something hard first, it becomes easier. But if we do things easy, then...
And I'll tell you, the eat the frog theory, that it's like, do the hard thing first. That does not work for me as an ADHDer. You want me to eat the frog first thing in the morning, that we're already having a bad day. Give me the easy part first. It's like the big light.
Well, the thing is, what I'm talking about is more when we're accommodating students in the classroom. If you're wanting to learn more about neurodivergent people, you have to do the hard thing, which is learning about them, actually asking the questions,
it's interesting that you were saying that that's the hard thing.
Well,
that's
because
the hard
thing?
Is. Do you think it's a hard thing for people to get to know their own students?
No, it is when you're going and saying, you know what, just send them to a different school. Which one's easier? If I'm a teacher and I have two options, I can either send the student to a different school and say, well, they're misbehaving, they're disruptive, and I just can't handle it. Or sit with them, spend a little bit more time, and understand them as a student. Now, one thing I want to make clear, because I could probably get a lot of backlash for just saying that just now, and I've just realized teachers have a lot going on, and I could really... Like, Tisha's saying BS, and I literally wanted to say the S word straight out. I will actually change... I want to change what I just said a little bit.
Okay, good.
If you're speaking to a neurodivergent person or in an environment with a neurodivergent person, does not matter where you are, spend the time with them. Teachers have to spend the time with a lot of them.
And that is scalable.
They're able to scale that.
That's the thing that
anyone, anywhere has to take that time to understand them. Whether it's at work, whether it's people on the street, you have to learn to understand why someone's doing something or what is going on. What's the bigger picture? Because if you do that, they feel seen and you understand what's happening in that scenario, so that if you see it again, you know what to do. You have to do those things to understand. I've had to do that to learn with other neurodivergent
But I
people.
think it's difficult for adults. I think it's difficult in the workforce. People want to go fast. They want to get things done. They don't want to stop and have a chat.
You know what? I'm going to stop you there. It is not difficult. You're just not prioritizing it. That is all it is.
True.
Stop pushing it down because it seems difficult because you want to go and do the easy thing. That is the problem why we have people getting shunned out who are neurodivergent that don't see the world the same way. It's because other people see it as a hard task and they want to do the easy first. Because if a teacher goes and pushes I'm going to go back to the teacher one, but if a teacher pushes a student to another school, what's the reputation for that school? Oh, don't send your neurodivergent student there because they're just going to push you out and it's going to impact the student's learning. So, meaning the numbers for that school is going to go down. It's not going to be credited as a special education school or supportive or accessible school, and its credibility is going to drop, meaning it's going to be harder for the school to actually progress in future because unfortunately, they pushed a few students out because the teachers or the school or the principals or the admins didn't want to do the work at the beginning.
I think it's a misinterpretation, like we were saying, of misbehavior. I think it goes back to that. What's the definition of misbehavior? If I'm in your classroom, Rick, and I'm asking question after question after question, and I'm sort of challenging you, and you feel like you can't handle that you're going to take it personal, and I'm not meaning it personal. I'm asking you a question because I'm genuinely, knowledge is important to me. It is one of the things I value the most. Knowledge is important to me. I want to understand. I want to get a good grasp of it. But you are taking that personal, right? I'm not misbehaving. You're seeing it as misbehaving because you've taken it personal and you're not sure what to label it. You would not label it, well, I'm taking this personal unless you've done a whole lot of growth. And I'm just genuinely wanting to ask questions. And that is where that happens. It is that definition. Again, we're going back to those words. What does the word misbehaving mean to me? And what does it mean to you?
Yeah. Very, very.
You definitely got on your soapbox, so I was trying to pull you back.
Thank you.
We're coming back. We're recentering and grounding.
Thank you. Yes, it's. I'm very passionate about those areas because it's. We look at in the moment, but we don't look at the bigger picture of what can actually happen, not just for the neurodivergent person, but the environment they're in, or what it is that it could be a school, it could be a workplace. It can become damaging to those in the future when it's repeated multiple times.
Oh, absolutely.
And that is really problematic because not only does that student feel like they're not understood, that they're the problem, that school or workplace can become represented as not acceptable,
or not accepting.
Not accepting, can be even seen egotistical because they're just like, oh, I don't need those types of people. You know what I mean? It becomes
but you're right. I know. And I know that this is hitting something personal here for you because you also have had a ton of experiences. What I think is so interesting, and I want to really just bring us back to this point. Neurodivergent people can be the best, most creative, most innovative problem solvers in your organization or school if you would have a conversation with them, dig a little deeper, ask some questions, create some space.
I can feel my blood boiling from what I just communicated.
But it's a great example of how the repetitive treatment can trigger those emotions for you. I'm sure people relate to that a lot. So I think it is really good that you've shown this side,
Thank you. And that's the thing, again, is why the both of us are doing the videos that we're doing on TikTok, because it's important to show the world the struggles that we've had, but also show people who are having the same issues.
I would add a third one. I would add a third positive benefit to this is by us speaking out and recording ourselves. It's also reminding us of who we are, what we know, and how to communicate that out to other people. So I think even for us, it's a benefit, being able to recognize and speak about things that we've kept silent for years.
Yes.
This is a great conversation, Rick. Thank you.
Yeah, I really got on my soapbox there. Probably the highest soapbox I've had so far in the podcast.
It's all good. It's all good
It is.
because there are people out there that they relate to us, and
Yeah.
that is why we're doing this. And if you have found this podcast episode helpful, please subscribe, like, share, and keep coming back because we have more guests coming up.
Yeah.
Lots of cool topics coming up, and we're just excited that you're still here with us.
Yeah. And if you've got any questions or stories or opinions that you'd like to share with us, please post them in the comments below, or you can find us on socials. Our links are in the descriptions below. You're more than welcome to DM us, whether that's on the Player 3 podcast or to either myself or Tish directly. We welcome it. And until next week, we will see you then. Bye for now.